Hi, I'm Edward Cohen. Welcome to Commercial Observer Tangent, conversations with real estate and tech innovators. Before we get started, quick show of hands in the audience. How many of you have run a due diligence process in the past year? Wow. Okay.
It's a lot of hands.
Even more hands than expected. So today we're going to talk about why due diligence remains one of the slowest parts of commercial real estate, where deal teams lose the most timing during execution, why information gaps create friction and delays. We're going to talk about the difference between preparing for due diligence and reviewing documents. And we're going to talk about where AI is actually helping deal teams today. And we do, in fact, have the perfect guest to talk about this today. Noah Walters, co-founder and CSO of Tower Software Labs. Before founding Tower, Noah worked on complex, high-stakes M&A transactions at Dentons, the world's largest global law firm, where he saw firsthand how fragmented diligence workflows slow deals down. Hi, Noah. How is ICSC Vegas treating you?
It's been great. Very busy, a lot of fun, lots of good relationships, and it's good to be here.
That's right, coming to you live from ICSC PropTech in Vegas. So Noah, let's start hot, otherwise we risk the phones coming out in the audience. What's something about how real estate deals actually get done behind the scenes that would surprise most people in the room and listening?
Well, I think that a lot of people assume that the most amount of time spent in diligence is spent on actually reviewing documents, but we interviewed hundreds of owner-operators and brokers, and what we learned is that in, say, a 2-month timeline, the majority of time spent actually goes to just finding and chasing information and organizing it. And with AI these days, review is actually a lot easier to do quickly. So the review piece isn't the biggest bottleneck, and I think that that's what most people would be surprised by.
When a deal starts to stall, what's usually happening behind the scenes?
Well, it's rare that the asset owner is perfectly organized. Folks in this industry and across industries, they have a lot of different records and antiquated systems. And before you can respond to a question, you need to figure out what you have. And if that means the broker doesn't have an answer to a question, they have to go to the landlord. The landlord has to sift through their records to find what's relevant. And that can take a tremendous amount of time. And that time delays deals, and it doesn't give the buy side an opportunity to actively reallocate resources to other matters because they're waiting for information and they don't know when that's going to arrive.
Let's zoom in into the different tasks that happen during due diligence and execution. Where do CRE teams lose the most time during diligence and execution? Is it missing documents, organizing the lease, fragmented communication, all the above?
Yeah, I think it really depends on the deal. Sometimes things are perfectly organized because you have a really motivated seller to present you with everything you need. And in that case, things move pretty quickly, and it could just be reviewing all of the documents that is the most intensive. From my experience on deals, I've felt more like a project manager than I have a professional reviewer in most instances. And I think that a massive time sink goes into actively chasing information, dealing with all different stakeholders, and just verifying completeness over the course of a deal.
So what's the downstream impact when diligence slows down?
Well, it's garbage in, garbage out. If you have the wrong information, then the diligence analysis you perform will be inaccurate. I also think that if you've been on a deal before, you know that time and momentum is everything. And the longer things take, the higher the risk that the deal stalls and potentially sours.
At what point does the disorganization or the slowdown start impacting deal certainty or putting the deal at risk and the economics of it?
Well, I think it's a psychological factor a lot of the time. When people are silent for weeks on end, people get nervous. They don't know what the other side is thinking. And that can have a pretty meaningful impact on things. And also when inaccurate information is provided, people also get more nervous and suspicious, and that can really danger deal outcomes.
Yeah, the old saying of time kills deals. Due diligence truly is that part of the deal making, deal closing process where things could really go sideways, where trust can erode, and a lot of it can be just miscommunication and misplaced documents.
Absolutely.
So for people who may not be familiar with Tower, at a high level, what is Tower Software Labs and who is it for?
Appreciate you asking. Tower is a end-to-end due diligence platform. Like you said at the beginning, I'm a former M&A lawyer. We work with big law firms, helping them do bulk contract review. And in working with those law firms, they started using our tool to support real estate acquisitions. And when they started doing that, we thought, well, why don't we go to the source and see if these real estate teams can benefit too? And now investment teams use us to make sense of really messy data rooms by automatically organizing them against their checklists and then extracting information across hundreds of lease documents, estoppel certificates, and all sorts of other deal documents at once.
So how are investment teams preparing due diligence today without Tower?
A lot of email, a lot of Excel checklists, usually a couple different data rooms, and it takes a tremendous amount of back and forth for the broker to go and find the relevant information from the seller. And then they're dealing with a lot of different forms from potential buyers. And that back and forth can really prolong deals, and it can also be a really burdensome process for the seller.
If those timelines get materially shorter, what changes in the deal?
Well, I mean, think about the entirety of a deal timeline. I mean, if a deal takes, on average, 2 months with the current state of affairs, which is emails, Excel checklists, different data rooms, and then review that occurs in a silo with one-off AI prompts through Claude these days. What could it mean for your deal team if you all of a sudden could ensure that you have all of the right information up front in a week and then start your review knowing that the disclosure is complete? I mean, we think that the timeline of 2 months can be compressed down to a month or even shorter. And that means more deals for both sides and more opportunity to reallocate resources to other matters to generate more business and do higher value work.
So really removing the need for those little tasks that humans don't really want to do, and so they can focus on the relationship building and getting better and more deals.
Absolutely. We think the document work, and by document work, I mean the act of collecting information, chasing it, organizing documents into data rooms, verifying gaps against your diligence checklists, and review, that is document work. All of that we think can be automated with AI, and that's exactly what we're trying to build.
So a lot of the AI conversations right now focus around reviewing documents, summarizing files, extracting information, but you guys at Tower seem focused on something earlier, which is making sure the right information actually exists, is organized, and is accessible before the process breaks down. And there are now a lot of tools reviewing documents. So where do you think those tools still struggle today, and how does Tower fix it?
Yeah, no, I appreciate the question. And I think that the review piece is frankly becoming table stakes. People have Claude and other solutions that help them review efficiently, and those tools will only get better. I think where they fall apart is in auditability, helping people really quickly fact check the results of the tool against source documents. I also think that they fail in 3 other really important ways. One of them is in collaboration. People use foundational models like chatbots on their own computers. But when you're an organization and you're trying to apply best practices across the entire organization, make it easy for people, for senior people to supervise junior work, you need a collaborative environment where you can really quickly fact check the work of others. Our system's designed to help with that collaboration piece. It's also designed to help take the prompt sorcery out of a lot of this work. Sometimes people get nervous about if they're asking the right question. And as you and I know, with diligence, really everything depends on the input. So if you don't give the right instruction to a tool, if you don't feed it the right information or context to review, whether that's selecting the right documents or asking the right question, the answer is going to be wrong. So we're trying to create the infrastructure layer for that so that anybody, no matter how tech literate or illiterate they are, can just pick up Tower, click a button, and get that abstract, get that underwriting report, or any one-off question about the entirety of their data room.
You referred to it as prompt sorcery, which is a little tamer than the term you used earlier, which I love, which is prompt YOLOing. But that's neither here nor there. So talk about that change management. I mean, you're working with large investment teams that are used to having their own processes and their own ways of finding data or their own ways of organizing what's super disorganized. So how do you approach promising and showing how deal certainty of execution, and being able to get better, more deals is certainly attractive to any investment team out there, but how do you make them comfortable with the change management? How do you onboard them?
When I was a lawyer, my job at my firm wasn't just to do M&A, but it was to try and identify AI solutions. And one thing became very clear early, and I think that also applies to real estate, which is that people don't want to change their behavior at all. So we designed our tool to look and feel like a data room. And we did that because the data room interface is one of the most intuitive interfaces that anybody in a deal is familiar with already. So we've just taken the data room, we've made it very easy to click review with AI from that data room interface, and we've created pre-built buttons for people to just click to get the outputs they want. That way, you don't need to be tech savvy to use this tool. We're also uniquely positioned as a data room to be tried out on one deal. And we make that super simple with pilots for one-off deals before they commit to annual subscriptions or whatever it might be. And that way, it's a really low-stress option for folks who just want to experiment and see what they can do.
I know every deal is different, every company is different, but how do you think about ROI? I mean, in terms of saving time, avoiding big mistakes, how do you think about that and set expectations accordingly for a successful ramp up after that initial pilot?
We know how much time we can save for the champions who become very good at using AI for review. We've gathered statistics that indicate we can increase review speed by 85%. And that's across not just real estate deals with lease review, but broad array of M&A deals in software and in other areas of business. I think the reality, though, is that the individuals at the organization need to become familiar with the tool in order to make the most advantage of those efficiency gains. And that does take a little bit more time. I think as a focused tool for deal making, we help you run processes alongside your existing process. And by doing that, it's a little bit easier to compare the speed and experience to what people are accustomed to. And qualitatively, they can tell us, well, this was faster, this was easier, or not. And we help gather metrics around usage with them to make that even clearer as well.
I think that's a unique approach because you're not only providing an AI-powered due diligence platform, but you're also serving as consultants since you have the subject matter expertise. You've been on the deal-making side. You've been gathering the documents. You've been evaluating AI tools to make the process faster. So does that make investment teams more comfortable with you off the bat?
Absolutely. I think that everybody in the AI space these days is being a little bit vague in their marketing because you can do so much with AI, and there are so many use cases that people want to solve and pain points people want to solve, and a lot of people just don't know where to start. So as a founder and as a founder of an earlier stage company, we've really tried to position ourselves like your AI partner to go in and help you customize buttons to get the exact outputs you want and be there to hold your hand and identify those problems as well. It's helped us close much bigger deals than maybe we deserved earlier on in our journey. And I think it has to be the plan moving forward because this world of AI is so crazy for everybody right now. And I think we all need to lean on technical expertise to really figure out how to harness the potential of this.
Talk about the stakeholders that are involved in a deal. Investment teams are driving the deal, but there's brokers, there's lawyers, there's lenders, operators. How do you take into account all the stakeholders in the process?
With our product specifically, it really just depends on what the team wants. I mean, like I said, our product operates like an AI deal room. It could be for one team to have one analyst review documents in, or you have the option to invite people, set permissions, and grant them access to that space to collaborate. And the permissions can be super granular. So the deal team, if it's the broker, they can invite all of their buyers and they can permission the space so that the buyers only see the documents they want to show them. If it's the buy-side team, and it's a proprietary process, they can even invite the seller and have the seller upload documents directly, kind of like a buy-side data room. The tool also lets you completely automate notifications. So consider your checklist. There's questions related to finance, lease matters, corporate records, whatever it might be. With our tool, you can delegate assignments to parts of your checklist. So if you have lawyers that are supporting you in review, you can add them to the space, assign them legal matters, and when documents are uploaded to the space, the lawyers will automatically receive a notification that those disclosures are ready, and they'll be able to go and review. And you, as the analysts running that buy-side process, no longer need to play that intermediary role, messaging everybody to get them to see what's up.
Let's talk about the people actually running the deals, the humans. What do you think will still require human judgment? The humans will still be the ones establishing the relationships and doing the deals. And it's a fundamentally human industry that we're in. But where do you think the role of the human will be in a few years when it comes to due diligence?
I think with every deal, and with whether that's M&A or real estate transactional work, whatever it might be, me as a software provider selling my software to a business, there's the art of the deal and the science to it. And I think the science gets automated and the art is really where humans shine. And right now, AI isn't solving all science problems. It's getting you 80% of the way there if you know how to use it properly. It's making it a lot easier for you to identify issues better and faster, to negotiate better terms for yourself. But the human component of, like you said, building relationships, negotiating, interpreting the results of the AI right now is still very much important, and where AI falls short.
What does a well-run tower-powered deal process look like in a few years? And I know we don't have a crystal ball and things are changing fast, but how do you foresee this working in 2 to 3 years?
I'll stage that question out because I think there's a short-term scenario and then a longer-term future state. And in the short term, you upload the entirety of the data room, you upload your diligence questionnaire or investment criteria, you immediately get a report on absolutely everything that's missing, all of the risks, so that you're able to make a decision tomorrow. I think longer form, people are going to start to have agents of their own in their organizations, the brokers and the buyers, and those agents will do a lot of the triaging on behalf of those teams to deal with every nitty-gritty document work in between the LOI and the actual closing itself. And those agents will negotiate new pricing terms and try and revise the purchase agreements autonomously. And we're trying to build the infrastructure for that.
What's one belief about AI and transaction workflow that you think is completely wrong, or that is misunderstood or underestimated in the investment community?
Well, I think this whole space is about expectation setting to an extent. AI is not a magic bullet. It does require guardrails. It's not going to solve all your problems. And I think that people see flashy demos and they expect to buy the world. But at the end of the day, it requires training and safeguarding and building an appropriate information architecture to really harness AI potential. And I think a lot of folks get that wrong. All of the work that needs to go in to feeding AI models the right information for them to do their best work.
Last but not least, collaboration superpower. If you could do a partnership with one person, dead or alive, who would it be?
Oh man, I think distribution is everything for AI startups these days. There's so much noise in this space. So my joking answer would be someone like Kendall Jenner, who can come in and just
Hell yeah.
tell everybody exactly what we do right away. But I think in reality, I'd love to partner with a guy like Dario at Anthropic and be on the front lines of what these models can do and immediately deliver that tech advancement to all of our partners.
Dario is actually a fan of the podcast, so you're in luck today.
Perfect.
Dario,
Yep.
Slide into Noah's DMs, please. So just to recap, today we talked about why information gaps slow transactions down, how fragmented workflows create execution risk, why organizing information earlier changes the entire deal process, and where AI is genuinely helping deal teams today. For our beloved audience and listeners at home, where can they learn more about Tower Software Labs and connect with you?
Well, our website's called withtower.com. My name's Noah Walters. You can find me on LinkedIn and DM me. You can also reach out to Ed. He'll make an introduction, I have no doubt. And I'd love to chat. If you're just experimenting and trying to figure out what AI can do for you, we're happy to be a soundboard. We're trying to be an AI partner to folks. And if you want a data room to help you execute your deal process faster, hit me up.
You heard, investment teams. This has been Commercial Observer Tangent, conversations with real estate and tech innovators, coming to you live from ICSC PropTech in Vegas. Noah, thank you so much for coming to Tangent today.
Thanks so much for having me.
Muchas gracias. If you learned something new or enjoyed the conversation, text a friend the link to this episode right now. You can find links, resources, and ways to connect with us in the show notes.